What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video with your host, as always, K-Mac Time. And today we're gonna take another look back at this season of Venture Bros, specifically episode 7 of season 7, The Unicorn in Captivity. We're gonna be looking at the Easter eggs and missed jokes that you may have went over your head while watching this one. Episode is loaded with kind of funny stuff like that, and then real life stuff like that. So let's just jump into it. Now, first off, right at the bat here, Rusty calls Billy Hobbit Oppenheimer.
Bound for posterity. Save it, Hobbit Oppenheimer. We don't even know if it worked this time.
Which is pretty funny. If you may not know what this is a reference to, he's a very famous scientist. He's referring to Julius Robert Oppenheimer, who was an American theoretical physicist and professor of physics at the University of California, Berkeley, who was also involved with the Manhattan Project during World War II, where scientists developed the atomic bomb. So I thought that was a pretty funny one early on in the episode. Later on, we see Gary wearing a 20-sided die on his t-shirt, so he must be a fan of Dungeons and Dragons. I love that little tidbit about him. It fits his character perfectly. He would be the type of person who plays that nerdy type of game. Absolutely love that. Then we actually see a very interesting one here, and this is actually that Rusty has been working on this teleporter since season 2, believe it or not. They're throwing back all the way to season 2. Very cool here. If you look at the series of pictures, he's been working on this for quite some time, and even his brother was trying to help him on it as well. One of my favorite callbacks they did this episode was when Rusty said what he was going to do when he gets all of his money for his teleporter. He was going to retire on a pile of women in Spanakopita, which is of course a callback to the Spanakopita episode from season 5, which is one of my all-time favorites. Spanakopita! I absolutely love that episode, so I'm glad they brought that one back as well.
Dare they slap a Nobel on me? I retired to Spanakopita on a pile of money and women. What happens to...
During the orgy scene, and it was actually blurred out on Adult Swim if you watched it on TV, but if you actually order this digitally or buy the DVDs when they come out later, the nudity is actually there. You can actually see these characters full on nudity, and I thought that was pretty funny. It's not blurred out like it was on Adult Swim. Also, at the orgy, there are loads of Stanley Kubrick references. Now, Stanley Kubrick, for those who don't know, is a movie director who made the massively popular films like The Shining, Clockwork Orange, and Eyes Wide Shut. Anyway, the whole masked orgy is an idea taken straight out of Eyes Wide Shut. Then Rusty starts calling the bartender Jeeves, just like Jack in the hotel bar scene from The Shining. Also, all the servants are clones, just like in his film Barry Lyndon. There are most likely more of these that I just overlooked, but Stanley Kubrick is a constant theme throughout this entire episode, and I thought that was pretty interesting and funny.
Are you one of the guys I spoke to earlier on the,
Later, when Rusty's finally introduced to the Illuminati characters, we can actually make out what one of the members is. It's Roy Bisby, who was first introduced to us in season 1, episode 4, when Rusty meets a theme park owning billionaire. It's pretty funny. You see him a few times throughout this episode. It's clearly him. He's even listed in the credits, and it's pretty funny. Another character I thought was pretty enjoyable was Presto Change-O, and he is, of course, loosely based off of the Joker, and it's actually voiced by Mark Hamill, which I thought was amazing. They brought Mark Hamill in to do this. If you don't know, Mark Hamill actually voiced the Joker in many of the animated series in the past, and of course, he's also Luke Skywalker, so very cool cast there on that. I actually really enjoyed his character, Presto Change-O.
Oh, God. He's coming too! Grab it! How?
Now, so far this season and in past seasons, we've seen that they really like to enjoy using real life architecture or real life buildings in their episodes, and this is no different in this episode. Now, the headquarters of the World Order government in Rusty's virtual reality sim actually exists in real life as the Cloisters, which is a property owned by the Metropolitan Museum of Art in Uptown Manhattan in Fort Tryon Park. It was actually cobbled together from actual medieval and European cloisters and castles imported in the 1930s from wealthy donors. And it contains a lot of priceless and fascinating art from that era, including the Hunt of the Unicorn cycle of tapestries, the crown jewel of the museum. The fenced-in unicorn in the episode is named for, we also later see it in the episode, is a real painting, and that was painted in 1505 in the Netherlands and is currently on display in the New York Met Museum. Later, when the monarch tells Gary to bring his wings to him, he tells him to bring the good ones, the Glengarry Wings. This is a hilarious reference to the movie Glengarry Glen Ross starring Alec Baldwin. When he says that these are the leads, these are just the Glengarry leads.
These are the new leads. These are the Glengarry leads. In and to you, they're gold.
It's also been a hilarious running joke for many seasons that Rusty invents these disgusting alcoholic drinks, and we got a new one in this episode, which is the Red Mocha Cooler. Something to do with probably red Kool-Aid, some kind of mocha caffeine, and maybe vodka? Who knows? We'll have to try this one out in real life and see how awful it is. And finally, the VR porn rig we see at the end of the episode that Rusty's in is really funny ending to the episode. It's actually very, very similar to one seen in George Lucas's first film, THX 1138. In the film, the brainwashed masses are lured into a cooperation with what they call joy cans, just like we saw with Rusty. He's getting a virtual reality of being with all these women and everything, kind of like jerking his penis around. It's exactly what happens in the movie. It was actually George Lucas, like I said, his first movie before Star Wars, and it was kind of like a student film he did that never really took off. But anyway, I thought that was pretty damn interesting they would use that. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for today. Thank you guys so much for watching these videos. I really do appreciate it if you guys take a second out of your day to hit that like button, support the channel by subscribing. Make sure you guys are sticking around for more of these. I've got 2 more episodes coming out, and then the finale is coming out next week as well. So be looking forward to some more Venture Bros content. Gonna start doing some South Park content as well. Gonna start breaking down some of those episodes. So if you guys are new on here, feel free to subscribe for more of that. But until next time, guys, remember that it's always K-Mac time somewhere. Until then, take it easy and peace out. Go Team Venture.